Hey, it worked.
All right. Good, good, good. Take just a second here. So, as you can see up in the top corner, excuse me, hope my sound is a little better than it was the other night. So, if you can't hear, can you hear anything at all? Let's find out. Yes, yes, you can hear me. Alright, so you can see up in the corner on the list up there, I will be starting off with Joe's original footwork, which everyone likes to say they know what they're talking about, but I'm doing this just as a bit of an experiment. I kind of got this idea from Elaine Ewing, Rhinebeck Pilates in New York. She found an original advertisement for Joe's Reformer. I think it was one of the first advertisements he did in Germany. I highly recommend you check out her website. She has all sorts of Pilates history archives on there. But she found this advertisement, and the instructions were something along the lines of, not something along the lines of, but they were, start off with 1 to 2 springs, depending on the ability of the person working out. Then you would put your arches on the bar and press in and out for 5 minutes, right? And working your way up to 10 minutes. And once you got to 10 minutes comfortably, you add another spring. So for the first 5 minutes today, it's going to be footwork with my arches on the bar. This is going to be my warm-up before I jump into everything else that you see on there. But what's interesting is in those instructions with that, he doesn't talk about breathing at all, at least not in what I've seen. She may have more. Again, I highly recommend you go and check that out. So today, it's just my arches on the bar for 5 minutes at the beginning, and then go back in. That's basically going to be my warm-up. So yeah, I'm going to set my timer here, and then I will try to figure out what to talk about while I do this, if I talk about anything. So we're going to check this angle out as well, and then we will move on from there. So, yeah. Alright. I feel like I should have measured my quads and my glutes before starting this. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, but I figure I can hit start and give me 4 extra seconds. Alright, so I have my arches on here. And now he doesn't say press together, but one of the things that he does say is when you press out, press all the way out until the knees are locked. So you will be seeing this. I will be locking my knees out. And again, I'm only doing it because Joe told me to. But you can discuss amongst yourselves later if you think that's the way it's supposed to be done or not. I don't really care. I'm just following instructions here. So, all right. 5 minutes does not seem like a long time, but I have a feeling it's going to be. So, here we go. 3. And it's really hard to not think about what I do know of Pilates, pulling the abs in and up, and maybe that is what I'm supposed to do here. But what I find really interesting about this whole idea, this was an advertisement he had from the early 1920s. And what I really appreciate about all this is that as I've been diving deeper and deeper into old school strongman workouts from the early 1900s, whether it's Eugene Sandow, Arthur Saxton, Alan Calvert, Mark Berry, John Grimmick. You know, a lot of these guys, Sigmund Klein, obviously, can't forget him. There were a lot of instructions and there were a lot of things that were implied that you should just know, right? So there's nothing, for example, with this, there's nothing that talks about pace, there's nothing that talks about breath, there's nothing that talks about distance, apart. You know, so should your feet be hip width apart? Should they be squeezed together? I don't know. So just kind of comfortably set them there. It doesn't say whether I should be wrapping my feet around. It just says arches on there. But again, I don't have my watch, so I can't see how long it's been already. But there's some burning going on. But anyways, as I was saying, back in reading these training manuals from these old school strongmen, they didn't really talk about squats. And in fact, it wasn't until the Mark Berry book that I read, which was originally published in the 1930s, his barbell course, he refers to them as deep knee bends or squats, right? So people weren't really talking too much about them then. I can't remember off the top of my head who the first person was to say, no, these are really important. But I find it all fascinating because around the same time, clearly, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing with Joe's instructions for his 5 to 7 spring reformer, he understood that strong legs and strong glutes were also important. So, I mean, make no mistake, this is a squat, right? I can definitely feel this. And again, off the top of my head, one of the instructions was keeping buttocks firmly placed. Right? And if you do any weightlifting at all, you'll know that you can't necessarily squeeze your glutes completely until your legs are straight. Now, I know people are going to go back and forth and argue about locked out, not locked out, and you can have that argument all you want, but these instructions were from the 1920s, so at that time, again, going back to any of those old school training manuals, they all said legs locked out. So I don't think Joe would have necessarily tried to change his terminology if that's what everyone else was using, because he was a smart marketing guy, so he would have known that people would have needed to hear the same thing. So I'm pretty sure he does mean locked out, but I'm sure someone will come along and correct me about that sooner or later. I'm definitely feeling very warm. And the outside of my calves and my glutes are on fire at this point. And my right foot wants to cramp. We're just going to keep going so the time is done. But it's the other thing that I appreciate about this. Going back and reviewing a bunch of those training manuals, I got 2 or 3 more coming. They didn't really do sets with any of their work. You did repetitions and then moved on. So with the Mark Berry barbell course, you start off with pretty much 5 reps of everything. And the first week you do 5 reps, 3 exercise sessions a week. The following week you go up to 6 reps, and the following week you go up to 7. But, oh, thank God. Alright. Well, that wasn't necessarily the hardest thing in the world to do, but my legs are nice and warm, so looking forward to not doing any more squats for a little while, which is kind of the point, right, for me. So, now, I don't know what he would have people do after that. I don't have that much of the information yet. And again, highly recommend you go to Rhinebeck Pilates and check out her website, because she has all that information. All right. And we're gonna get just a little different here. That'll work a little bit. So just some. How's that? That's not too bad. Not too bad. But first we're going to take these. So for my curls, I'm going to £25. Take those out. Those aren't nice and shiny though. But I do like these. These power blocks. Quite a bit of weight. Come on now. So fairly easy to adjust. And again, I don't work for this company, so it's not like they're paying me to advertise for them, but quite a few of my clients have the Bowflex adjustable weights, and those are nice too. The problem that I have with the Bowflex adjustable weights is they're just so long, right? If you go over like 50 pounds, so. But now I'm just stalling because I know this is going to be hard. We'll see what happens here. All right, so let's do 5 bicep curls here. See how much that footwork warmed up my legs. On my arms, these are called arms. 2, 3, 4. Now, the only downside I have today is that I started my workout a little later than I wanted to. So I'm going to try to rush through this a little bit just so I can get it done before the kids get home. But that's the way it goes. All right. Yeah, let's do that with 2. Keep my kettlebells hidden behind the Pilates equipment, because sometimes that just works out best. Alright, we're going to go for 5 presses. Is that what I wrote down? I think so, yep. Yeah, that was nice. But well, the reason why I'm using 24 kilogram kettlebells for overhead presses and 25 pounds for bicep curls, you're going to be doing a lot more curls than presses. So, and I can't do a bicep curl 50 pounds yet, so someday I'll get there. Keep all off there. Slide you over here. And one out of the way. Alright. Slide back a little bit more. 5 more curls here. knew I should have kept that door open, but it's 73 in here, so it's not like it's terribly hot. I'm using 16 kilograms for my bent press in a second. I'm going to be using 24 for my windmill. And just to there we go, protect the floor a little bit more. Probably put this down. So yeah, that footwork is definitely different. You know, we normally classical Pilates now, if you start 10 reps on your toes, 10 reps on your arches, 10 on your heels, 10 in stretch. So that, just on the arches, it was a little more, obviously if we're doing it for 5 minutes, a little difference in time there, but. All right, here we go. Right in the QL. And get away. Funny thing is I wrote this out and I can't remember shit. That's it. Curls, swings, curls, bent press, curls. So, get through this twice, right? Then obviously, there's 50 bicep curls there. Hopefully, if we have that much time, we'll see what happens. You might hear people come slamming down the hallway. But, it's alright, they can always jump on back here and do some pull-ups while they're waiting. Here we go. The other thing I like about these that I don't know if you can necessarily see, but my wrist kind of lands right back against this bar here, so that as I go to do a bicep curl, if I start to use more of my wrist, I'll know, right? Also, here it's straight, right, and it's kind of pressing up against there. So as I go to do this, right, if I pretty much stays right there the whole time. So it's kind of a nice guide. That's about all I have to say about that. All right, 20 swings next. And sometimes I like to change these up, doing like 5, 5, then 10 two-handed swings, or just 10 single arm swings, 10 alternating swings. So today, I'm going to do alternating. And because it hits the obliques a little bit differently. Alright, here we go. Seventeen, 18, 19, 20. Whew. I feel the sweat start to fly off my forehead. Oh, hi. Simon. I don't have my glasses on. Simon Lennon. Thanks for tuning in. Check this out. Watching me struggle through this workout today. That's alright though. It's kind of the fun part about it. But okay, there. Now I catch my breath again. Alright. Now let's do the curls. Thank you. Appreciate you. Here we go. Two. 3. 4. All right. I got 2 more bent press, then curls, then take a quick break, like not even a full minute, because again, you're gonna run out of time. But I mean, the nice thing about all of this is that quick footwork, then doing these quick exercises here. I mean, this is not, I won't go more than 40 minutes, right? And if you're like me and you have not a lot of time to get a workout in, this is a nice, fun, quick workout to do. I know fun is objective, but I think it's fun. Alright, so now I'm going to start off my bent press, my right arm. It's actually my worst arm for bent press. So I'm going to start off with the 16 kilograms of 24. Alright, here we go. So yeah, a big part of that, what makes it better for me on my left side than my right, is I actually have greater range of motion rotating this way than I do this way. And the reason for that is, that's just, it could be some numerous different things, right? It could be that I'm right-handed and the side gets more tired. It could be because I broke and dislocated this elbow years ago and they put a permanent screw in there, and I was using the shoulder wrong. One of the reasons why I'm making a really big effort to focus on doing bicep curls, because for the longest time, unbeknownst to me, I was doing them like this. So, but yeah, who knows? All sorts of reasons there. But all right, here we go. All right. Also, shout out to my little brother. Not that any of you guys know him, but he is, the past year, a little over a year now, he has been continuously working on health, working out, getting stronger. And he sent me some pictures last night that were just amazing as far as his progress is concerned. His pecs, his arms, you know, it's like, I want to show him his shoes now, you know, it's like doing that a lot, which he should, right? He earned those. But yeah, it's also, it helps me stay motivated as a personal trainer, because I would be fucking damned if my little brother is going to be stronger than me. It's just not going to happen. So we got to keep this up, because remember that sibling rivalry never goes away no matter how old you get. So congratulations, Christopher. Still coming for you. Love you. All right. Round number 2. I have a feeling this is going to feel a lot heavier here. All right, here we go. 2, 3, 4. Oh, they are a lot heavier now. Yeah. Oh well. That's fine. It's fine. Could be that I'm getting older. No. Not in that short span of time. But it's funny. I don't know if any of you watching, if you have siblings, but I can play pool with a friend. I can play any sport, any video game. I will never compete against someone as hard as I will compete against my brother. And for him and I believe that goes both ways, and it is definitely out of respect for the ability that the other one has. You know, he's just, he's a fucking great guy, right? So it's really hard to not want to impress him, even though he is my little brother. But anyway, that's enough about him. Overhead presses here. Ooh. And we're having a little pat on the floor helps sometimes. I'm gonna put one of these back. So I did a workout very similar to this last week. And one of the things I had programmed in there for this workout was squats. And after doing that footwork for 5 minutes, I wasn't going to do that again, but let's see what happens. All right, here we go. Come on. Whew. So I'm so proud of that, regardless of how hard it is. I'm also proud of the fact that I finally figured out the issue with this cable for this camera. So hopefully it hasn't been flashing. I haven't seen it flashing up on screen. All right. And windmills we're doing here. Yeah. All right. No, oh, I should use this. That was my motivational process for myself. A little too much weight on that front foot on that one. It's one of the things, as a Pilates instructor and personal trainer, why I started really getting into digging deeper into the golden age of weightlifting. It's because as Pilates instructors, we love to try to butch up this work by making sure people know Joe was a boxer, Joe was a bodybuilder, Joe was a weightlifter, right? But then when you talk to instructors about like, okay, well, how does that influence his work, right? One of the things they'll tell you is like, well, you know, boxing with the arm springs on the cali, well, yeah, fine, right? Hip work, right? Because the power from a punch comes from your hips, sure. All valid points, but what about the weightlifting? And you don't get a lot of answers from people on that. So I started digging in more. Again, as I said earlier, Elaine Ewing, Rhinebeck Pilates in New York. She has a ton of information on her website. Highly recommend checking her out. Kathy Strack, who wrote Get to Know Joe Pilates. A ton of historical information there. So just really kind of seeing, okay, well, if he were doing all those things, is that, I mean, he grew up around the gym and in the gym when he was younger. So a lot of these exercises, I would assume, resemble some of the crazy, or not crazy, but some of the more popular lifts that were being done at the time that you would have been doing. I'll come back in a second. Hold on. 2, 3, 4. I mean, Eugene Sandow, who is often referred to as the, basically like the godfather of modern weightlifting. Like, he was the one who just kind of came along at the right time, and he was active in the 1800s until he passed away in 1925. Now, Joe didn't immigrate to America until 1926. And, Sandow was in England at that time when Joe possibly would have been there before he was interned at Isle of Man. So he would have known of Sandow and, his bent press, right? And when Arthur Saxon challenging Sandow to bent press, all that stuff. So one of the reasons why I started becoming more and more curious about the bent press and these old time exercises, the popular exercises at the time, is how does that work in the world of Pilates? So you see a lot of that. Once you start doing these things, you start recognizing those shapes. So if you've ever done snake twist on the reformer, very similar in that movement of the hips being at an angle, pressing the carriage out, pulling back in, pressing the carriage out, pulling back in, coming back out. Right? So that's almost like my start position for snake twist. Drive up. Now, this is all speculation. I have no idea if that's where the exercise came from or not. But I can see how those dots could connect. So before you run off and say, this is why, I'm not saying that. It's my assumption. It could be. But my snake twist got stronger when I started really doing more and more windmills. And I felt comfortable doing windmills the moment I learned them, probably because of my snake twist. So again, they like to say correlation is not causation. I have no idea. Joe died 10 years before I was born. I couldn't tell you if that's where that exercise came from. But that exercise makes that exercise better for me. So, and vice versa. All right. 20 swings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8, 9, 10. All right. So that's where the curiosity for all this came from for me. So, which is why, well, I'm not going to give away all my thoughts in one streaming session, but I plan on talking more about this stuff coming up in the future. But it's really interesting, and it's, you know, one of those things that everyone likes to, with Pilates, they want to create the next new thing, right? But obviously it can be a bit of a turmoil thing to dance around, but I think if more people were to go back and start from the basics and start from the beginning and see where this started, right? As we all know, the work started with mat work, right? I got nervous. I heard some people running down the hall here. All right, so we got, bent press, then curls, and then we're out. All right. And I'm going to start with my right arm again. Focus. So I kind of show you what I'm talking about. So here's my left arm, right? As I rotate, it's a lot easier for me to keep this arm down, as you can probably see in this camera back here, to start. Whereas this one, as I start, let's try that again. And as soon as I start to rotate, this elbow wants to go out, like away from the body. So just keeping that here is a little harder for me personally, but it will not get better if I don't do it. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring back the whole drinking game, because once again I'm recognizing how often I say the word so. So if you're of age in the future and you're watching this, you're going to turn this into a drinking game, as long as you're not trying to work out with me, you're more than welcome to. But be responsible. Don't just watch this on repeat so you can get drunk off beer. I mean, you can, but I'm not telling you should do that. All right, here we go. Before getting in more legal trouble. That felt good though. I don't know if you could hear the little crack in my lower back, but I'm just kidding. The other thing I like about doing this with a kettlebell opposed to an Olympic lifting bar or a dumbbell. Is that, as you can see, this presses into my wrist the whole time. So it helps to feel a little bit more stable, like I can drive better than if I'm using a dumbbell with the Olympic bar. I'm also fighting to keep the wrist straight. I don't have anything to push against the back of my hand, my wrist against, kind of help stabilize. So I do find it harder with a dumbbell or an Olympic bar than I do with kettlebells. But, you know, that could also just be me, so. All right, the last set. Oh, my computer died. You'll be okay, we're almost done. All right, here we go. I didn't want to go, whew. But I had to. Well, that was short, sweet, and to the point. So, with that being said, I would like to thank you all for tuning in, checking me out. Cyber Lin, thank you for joining. We are now part of Twitch Family Together. Welcome to the family. And I am going to try to stop sweating before the kids get home, so I have to help them with their homework. Which doesn't necessarily work out best for anyone. They like it much more when mom helps them, but you know, here we are. So I'm out. I will see you guys on probably tomorrow. Probably just doing more Pilates. Probably in my boxers. Hey, I knew it. How was school? Good. All right. With that, I'm out. I'm going. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.
Hi, everybody.
Say bye.
Bye.